Islam Moors. Let's go ahead and start this meeting. Happy Holy Day. All right. Okay. All meetings are to be open and closed promptly according to the Circle 7 in love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. We ask that all Moors who are able to please rise and face the east for the Moorish American prayer. As we rise, we always stand facing the east, holding up 2 fingers on the right and 5 on the left. The arms perpendicular, and then with our heels together. So our feet will be at a 45-degree angle. And once again, facing the east. Please repeat after the sister.
Islam. Happy Holy Day, Muslims. The Moorish American prayer. Allah.
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 The Father of the universe.
The Father of the universe.
Recording in progress.
Father of love. Truth. Peace.
Freedom. And justice. Allah is my protector.
Allah is my protector.
My guide. And my salvation.
By night and by day.
Through his holy prophet. Through Ali.
Amen. All right, Islam Moors, I want to announce that this meeting is now open. This is the Moorish Science Temple of America, Moslem Mission 30, Columbus, Ohio. First and foremost, we always rise, giving the highest praise to the Most High, our sustainer and creator, our Father God Allah. We extend honors to our divine prophet, Noble Drew Ali, for bringing us our divine creed and nationality so that we may learn to love instead of hate. We also extend honors to the forerunner to the prophet, our dear brother, Marcus Mosiah Garvey, for preparing the way for purity and love. We also extend honors to all the Adep Sheiks and all the faithful Moors that make up the grand body of the Moorish Divine National Movement. We extend honors to the first appointed Grand Sheik and chairman, and also Supreme Grand Sheik, who was appointed by the prophet, and that's our dear brother E. Millie Ill. We extend honors to the current Supreme Grand Sheik and Grand Council of the Moorish Science Temple of America, and also honors to all the faithful Muslims here in this Holy Day meeting, Islam. And now Sister Douglas L. will read the Divine Constitution and bylaws.
Unity, the Moorish Science Temple of America, the Divine Constitutions and Bylaws. Act 1. The Grand Sheik and the Chairman of the Moorish Science Temple of America is empowered to make laws and enforce laws with the assistance of the Prophet and the Grand Body of the Moorish Science Temple of America. The Assistant Grand Sheik is to assist in all affairs if he lives according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and it is known for the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Act 2. All meetings are to be open and closed promptly according to the Circle 7 in love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Friday is our holy day of rest because on a Friday, the first man was formed in flesh. On a Friday, the first man departed out of flesh and ascended unto his Father God Allah. For that cause, Friday is the holy day for all Muslims all over the world. Act 3. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice must be proclaimed and practiced by all members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. No member is to put in danger or accuse falsely his brother or sister on any occasion at all that may harm his brother or sister, because Allah is love. Act 4. All members must preserve these holy and divine laws, and all members must obey the laws of the government, because by being a Moorish American, you are part and partial of the government and must live the lives accordingly. Act 5. This organization of the Moorish Science Temple of America is not to cause any confusion or to overthrow the laws and the Constitution of the said government, but to obey hereby. Act 6. With us, all members must proclaim their nationality, and we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are a part and partial of this said government, and know that they're not Negroes, colored folks, Black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865, during the time of slavery. But this is a new era of time now, and all men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live and the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained Noble Drew Ali, the prophet, to redeem his people from sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites who inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Acts 7, all members must promptly attend their meetings and become a part and parcel of all uplifting acts of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Members must pay their dues and keep in line with all the necessities of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Then you are entitled to the name faithful. Husbands, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband and take care of your children and look after the duties of the household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious and become a part of all uplifting acts, uplifting and falling humanity. All Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure with love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from your holy prophet Noble Drew Ali through the guidance of Father God Allah. Noble Drew Ali, founder. Moorish American prayer. Allah, the Father of the universe, the Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation by night and by day through his holy prophet Drew Ali. Amen. Moorish Science Temple of America, Home Office of Noble Drew Ali, Home Office, Chicago, Illinois, U.S.A. Islam.
Islam.
Happy Holy Day.
All right, Islam, sister, gratitude. Brother Cole Bay, would you please read the writs of our prophet, Islam?
Islam, Grand Sheikh, I rise and give perfect praise to the great God Allah. Rise and give honor to our prophet, Noble Drew Ali. Rise and give honor to the forerunner, Marcus Messiah Garvey, the harbinger. Rise and give honors to all ills and bays for their wills and ways. Rise and give all honors to Muslims on the call and on the planet. To the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America, Islam, this is instructions from your prophet, Noble Drew Ali. Be faithful unto your forefather divine and national creed, that you will be blessed for your good deeds that you sow in the flesh. Allah is the one that judges the world, and his judgment is on now. But the weak can comprehend it not. The end of times are drawing near, so says Allah to his divine prophet, I Noble Drew Ali, and that is why many hearts have turned to stone. Many have eyes to see, but cannot see, ears to hear, but cannot hear, lest they will be confounded of their sins. These are the trying hours now, dear Moors, and every evil spirit is moving. And they are trying every weak mind to overthrow and drag out the true foundation that has been laid and cause confusion in the ones that do believe.
Join the meeting.
But if you have the true love of Allah and the spirit of your forefathers, you fear not what you hear or see, but will sacrifice the utmost of your very life to protect your prophet and the movement. Protect your prophet and the movement. Watch your enemies, dear Moors. Your enemies are the ones that speak against your prophet and ridicule him to the very lowest, and the ones that speak against your divine and national principles of your temples. Act accordingly, and Allah will bless you for your good work. Peace. Your divine prophet, Noble Drew Ali. Prophet warns all Muslims to be read in every meeting. I hereby inform all members they must end all radical speeches while at work, in their homes, or on the streets. We are for peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your cards at Europeans. It causes confusion. Remember, your card is for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be a severe consequence. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom. And when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any member or group of members who hold malicious feelings towards the temple or the prophet or violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement will receive their rewards from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors will and must obey the law laid down to them by their prophet. If they lose confidence in their prophet, they should turn in their cardon button, cease wearing their turban and fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. This is a holy and divine movement founded by the prophet Noble Drew Ali. And if the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The prophet, therefore, is sending out a divine plea to all Moorish Americans. They do their part in protecting the prophet and the temple. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways. Peace, Noble Jew Ali. To be proclaimed in every meeting. Islam. I am glad to know I have a few faithful Moors among you all, and I desire for them to know the truth and the divine truth. There's a host of jealousy about me and the movement now by the same people of our side of the nation that claim that I was a joke and unreal. But now, since they found out from the government officials and the nations of the earth that this is the only sole foundation that all Asiatics must depend upon for their earthly salvation as American citizens, they are working every scheme that they can to disqualify me so they may take charge of the situation. I have notified all these things to you long ago in the past. It is through the faithful Moors that attribute to the movement and uplifting funds. The ones that pay their divine respect to me and the movement will be remembered. That is why I'm calling upon all faithful Moors to increase their faithfulness to me, your prophet, and your divine Moorish movement. I need finance, and I need it badly. Never before have I needed finance so badly as I do at present, so I can shove aside the discord that is facing the nation. It all comes through jealousy because of my fame and nobility. The nations of the world will not recognize the movement without I, the prophet, being head. It has been proven by my works, which I have performed in the past few years. Prophet, Noble Jew Ali. Islam, Islam, Islamism. Happy Holy Day, Muslims.
Islam, brother, and gratitude. Sister Lachey L, would you please read our additional laws?
Islam, I rise to give praise to the great Father God Allah. Honors to the Holy Prophet Noble Jew Ali. Honors to the forerunner Marcus Messiah Garvey. Honors to all Muslims on the call and all Muslims around the world. Questionnaire and additional laws for the Moorish Americans by the Prophet Noble Jew Ali. Act 1, Grand Sheikhs and governors and heads of all temples, all business. Each said temple must be approved by the Prophet Noble Jew Ali. Before acting upon by any members, let it be finance, property, or any line of life that will cause the members to sacrifice finance, etc., that will cause the support of any group of members. Any former officer that violates these laws is subject to be removed from his office under a heavy restriction, etc., by the prophet or the Grand Chief. Act 2, all members are to attend their EDEP meetings and their public meetings promptly. If a member is found standing around on their meeting period, shall be fined 50 cents on the first case, and on the second, he will be fined $1, which will go on your emergency fund. If member is working, his monthly dues must be paid. And if he has money in the bank, he must subscribe for as much as he is able to the Moorish uplifting funds, because it takes finance to uplift the nation. Act 3, it is the lawful and divine duty of every good member, if he is able in finance, to aid me in saving the nation. And if he does not, he is an enemy to the cause of uplifting his own people, and justice must catch you. Let it be he or she according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, as I have the power invested in my hands, and I will have to enforce the law in order to save the nation. Act 4, all members while up making a public speech must not use any assertion against the American flag or speak radical against the church or any member of any organized group, because we are to teach love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Act 5, all members must promptly attend their meetings and send their children to Sunday school, and the teacher must confirm himself to the questionnaire. And let every member exercise his 5 senses who is able to do so, because out from your Sunday school comes the guiders of the nation. Act 6, with us, all members must proclaim their nationality, and we're teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are a part and parcel of this said government, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, Black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. But this is a new era of time now, and all men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live and the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained Noble Drew Ali, the prophet, to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites who inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Act 7. All members must promptly attend their meetings and become a part and a parcel of all uplifting acts of the Moorish Science Temple. Members must pay their dues and keep in line with all necessities of the Moorish Science Temple. Then you are entitled to the name of faithful. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband and take care of your children and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and become industrious and become part of the uplifting of fallen humanity. All Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure with love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from your holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, through the guidance of his Father God, Allah. Islam. Happy Holy Day, Muslims.
All right, happy Holy Day, sister, and gratitude. Islam, we're about to read the divine warning. Islam Moorish. A divine warning by the prophet for the nations. The citizens of all free national governments, according to their national constitution, are all of one family bearing one free national name. Those who fail to recognize the free national name of their constitutional government are classed as undesirables and are subject to all inferior names and abuses and mistreatments that the citizens care to bestow upon them. And it is a sin for any group of people to violate the national constitutional laws of a free national government and cling to the names and the principles that delude to slavery. I, the prophet, was prepared by the great God Allah to warn my people to repent from their sinful ways and go back to the state of mind to their forefathers' divine and national principles, that they will be law abiders and receive their divine rights as citizens according to the free national constitution that was prepared for all free national beings. They are to claim their own free national name and religion. There is but one issue for them to be recognized by this government and of the earth, and it comes only through the connection of the Moorish divine national movement, which is incorporated in this government and recognized by all other nations of the world. And through it they and their children can receive their divine rights unmolested by other citizens, that they can cast a free national ballot at the polls under the free national constitution of the state's government and not under a granted privilege as has been the existing condition for many generations. You who doubt whether I, the prophet, and my principles are right for the redemption of my people, go to those that know the law in the city hall and among the officials in your government and ask them under an intelligent tone, and they will be glad to render you a favorable reply, for they are glad to see me bring you out of darkness into light. Money doesn't make the man. It is free national standards and power that makes a man and a nation. The wealth of all national governments, gold and silver, and commerce belong to the citizens alone, and without your national citizenship by name and principles, you have no true wealth. And I am hereby calling on all true citizens that stand for a free national free government and the enforcement of the Constitution to help me in my great missionary work, because I need all support from all true American citizens of the United States of America. Help me to save my people who have fallen from the constitutional laws of the government. I am depending on your support to get them back to the constitutional fold again, that they will learn to love instead of hate, and will live according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, supporting our free national constitution of the United States of America. I love my people and I desire their unity and mine back to their own free national and divine standard, because day by day they have been violating the national and constitutional laws of their government by claiming names and principles that are unconstitutional. If Italians, Greeks, English, Chinese, Japanese, Turks, and Arabians are forced to proclaim their free national name and religion before the constitutional government of the United States of America, it is no more than right that the law should be enforced upon all other American citizens alike, In all other governments, when a man is born and raised there and asks for his national descent name, and if he fails to give it, he is misused, imprisoned, or exiled. Any group of people that fail to answer up to the constitutional standards of law by name and principles, because to be a citizen of any government, you must claim your national descent name, because they place their trust upon issue and names formed by their forefathers. The word Negro deludes in the Latin language to the word nigger, the same as the word colored deludes to anything that is painted, varnished, and dyed. And every nation must bear a national descent name of their forefathers, because honoring thy fathers and thy mothers, your days will be lengthened upon this earth. These names have never been recognized by any true American citizens of this day. Through your free national name, you are known and recognized by all nations of the earth that are recognized by said national government in which they live. The 14th and 15th Amendments brought the North and South in unit, placing the Southerners who were at that time without power with the constitutional body of power. And at that time, 1865, the free national constitutional law that was in force since 1774 declared all men equal and free. And if all men are declared by the free national constitution to be free and equal, since that constitution has never been changed, there is no need for the application of the 14th and 15th Amendments for the salvation of our people and citizens. So there isn't but one supreme issue for my people to use to redeem that which was lost, and that is through the above statements. Then the lion and the lamb can lie down together in yonder hills, and neither will be harmed, because love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice will be reigning in this land. In those days, the United States will be one of the greatest civilized and prosperous governments of the world. But if the above principles are not carried out by the citizens and my people in this government, the worst is yet to come, because the great God of the universe is not pleased with the works that are being performed in North America by my people, and this great sin must be removed from the land to save it from enormous earthquakes, diseases, etc. And I, the prophet, do herein believe that this administration of the government, being more wisely prepared by more genius citizens that believe in their free national constitution and laws, and through the help of such classes of citizens, I, the prophet, truly believe that my people will find the true and divine way of their forefathers, and learn to stop serving carnal customs and merely ideas of man that have never done them any good, but have always harmed them. So I, the prophet, am hereby calling aloud with the divine plea to all true American citizens to help me to remove this great sin which has been committed and is being practiced by my people in the United States of America, because they know it is not the true and divine way. And without understanding, they have fallen from the true light into utter darkness of sin, and there is not a nation on earth today that will recognize them socially, religiously, politically, or economically, etc., in their present condition of their endeavorment in which they themselves try to force upon the civilized world. They will not refrain from their sinful ways of action, and their deeds have brought Jim Crowism, segregation, and everything that brings harm to human beings on earth, and they fought the Southerner for all these great misuses. But I have traveled in the South and have examined conditions there, and it is the works of my people continuously practicing the things which bring dishonor, disgrace, and disrespect of darkness into marvelous light. From the prophet. All right, Islam Moors. Happy Holy Day, everybody. On today, we are going to be speaking on chapter 12. But before we go into chapter 12, just want to speak on some relevant things pertaining to that topic to make sure that we put this in the proper perspective, right? So that we really understand what the prophet is saying and how this relates to us right here and now. Because, you know, we don't want to just be able to repeat things. We don't want to just hear it. We want to understand. And I think this message, especially today, this is extremely important, because this gives us an outlook and a mindset that we can all use in our everyday life for success, for prosperity. Okay, and so hang on, Morse. What you're seeing on the screen, though, these are the 12 virtues. When we go into the Quran, bear with me. So when we go into the Quran, right away in the beginning, it says, know thyself and thy father God Allah. Okay, we've spoken on that. This is an ancient proverb. This is something that's actually been carved into stone at the gates, like over the entrance to temples, because this is extremely important. Know thyself, or know thyself and thy Lord, know thyself and thy father God Allah, right? So the prophet is returning this knowledge and understanding to us, and then giving us the tools on how to unfold Allah within us, because you can't be a nigga and a God, right? And excuse my language, but you know, this is not a term of endearment. It doesn't matter how we try to flip it, what we try to do with that. We can't be that, right? A Negro is a beast. This name was put on our people to dehumanize us, to remove us from the family of humans, literally, within our own mind state and within how we are viewed by the rest of the world, right? It disconnects us from everything, and it's become a program. It's become a mind state for our people, all right? And it removes us from our true power. So know thyself and Allah. And this is why the prophet said that the works of the movement are largely religious. Now, we know for us, our religion also, it includes us, like most religions in the world, it includes us learning our connection to the Creator, right? Improving our morals, improving our conduct, getting more spiritual. And it also includes our earthly needs, right? Becoming, opening more businesses, growing food, everything that we need, okay? But like right there, know thyself in Allah. So this is letting us know our true nature, that Allah's within us, and that we have some work to do. We can't just say, oh, I'm God, and that's it. You good, can still go get high, go beat your woman, right? Go do whatever whatever things that people do that, have nothing to do with truly connecting with the higher self, right? Things that you can't do and claim to be Allah, right? If even to do that's a sin. That means you're putting something evil and despicable on the Creator. So we don't want to fake it. We really want to live it. We want to be this. And before we really go into chapter 12, there's a couple things that I wanted to speak about, right? So one reason why chapter 12 is really key, and why I was saying it, like, it's important for us to really be paying attention when we hear this. Just going into the symbolism of 12, we've spoken about this before, all right? Jesus spoke about climbing the 12-step ladder, right? He climbed this 12-step ladder to reach the pinnacle of perfected man. That Islam. Did somebody have something to say? I don't know. Islam, maybe you need to mute your mic. Islam. So the 12-step ladder, right? Jesus climbed that to reach the pinnacle of man, of perfected man. Okay. And that thing that was up there on the screen, it's got the 12 maxims of truth, or the 12 virtues. And the reason those are up there is because as we attain each virtue, we further unfold Allah within us. So each one, so even if we just focus on one a month, which the brother Jackson Bay brought up, right? If we just focus on one virtue every month and work to perfect this, to be that, like obedience, 1 month temperance. So if you just work on one a month, and we actually put in work on actually making this virtue a part of our life, how we conduct ourselves and mastering it, you're taking steps towards Allah. Every time you take a step towards the Creator, He takes 2 steps towards you. So what you're doing when you obtain each virtue, you are further unfolding Allah within you. You're subduing your lower self. Okay, and so that's why it's a 12-step ladder that we climb to reach the pinnacle of perfected man. Okay, and this is why we see this symbolism throughout the Quran. We were just in chapter 5 last week. In chapter 5, of course, Jesus speaks about the carpenter's tools. And in speaking about the carpenter's tools, he's exercising mastery or showing how to obtain mastery over what? Our own carnal nature. Okay, and as he speaks on these tools that we use in the workshop of the mind, he also says, and then this ladder with this trinity of steps, faith, hope, and love. On it, we climb up to the dome of purity and light. And on the 12-step ladder, we ascend until we reach the pinnacle of that life, which is spent to build the temple of perfected man. And he's really showing you how to obtain each virtue. The steps, there's 3 steps to attain each virtue: faith, hope, and love. So, this, just in case that doesn't make sense, right? So he's telling you how to obtain each virtue, how to make this each virtue a part of your life: faith, hope, and love. So first, you have to have faith that using obedience, right? Making, or modesty, or gratitude, or charity. You have to have faith that by taking on this virtue, that it's going to work for you, that it's going to improve your life, like sincerity, right? Or benevolence, right? Benevolence or modesty. And in a day and age where, modesty is not being practiced by many, where it's definitely not being put on a pedestal, or taught as something that's good to have, right? So you have to have faith that by doing this, which even may be going against the common thought, that by using this, by obtaining this virtue, is going to improve your life. So faith, hope, right? You believe in this, you think it's going to work, and then love, because it takes love to truly take this on in the face of things that may be negative, in the face of things that are going on in our life, right? These are tests. Everything that's happening in our life is a test, just to see if we're going to stick to these higher virtues, right? Am I going to use benevolence, right, in the face of treacherous behavior, right? Sincerity, right? When someone's testing you, someone may be, putting you down, acting as if you don't have any skills, you're not good at anything. Are you going to boast of how good you are, right? Are you still going to are we still going to use these higher virtues, right? So we have all these tests in our life to see if we really stand on them. Why? That's the whole reason why we're here, to be the strength of Allah made manifest. Can we do it? Still in the face of these perceived foes, right? So in that chapter 5, he speaks on the 12-step ladder. We're going to talk about chapter 12 today. Just looking at 12, even just when you see the number 12, we already should know that we're about to be taught something, some higher principles, right? Any scripture, if it's divine scripture, divine words from the Creator, just knowing that 12 means that you're going to get some lessons. Okay, so the symbolism of 12 is always referring to spiritual fulfillment. So that means you're going to get keys in this chapter on how to attain spiritual fulfillment, right? In 1 Kings in the Bible, in 1 Kings chapter 18, verses 31 to 32, it says, and Elijah took 12 stones according to the number of tribes of the sons of Jacob, and with the stones he built an altar in the name of Jehovah, right? And so even when you get this lesson, like when we see things like this in front of us, right, we're not really understanding what's being taught to us, right? Because it's all metaphorical. In that lesson, those 12 stones are representing the 12 most important nerve centers in the body. So everything that we see has spiritual representation and has a hidden meaning in it. Okay, so just wanted to share that, because even what we see in front of us is going to give you another message. And if we have eyes to see and ears to hear, now we know what we're really looking at, right? So it's important to understand that 12-step ladder to perfection, and each of those rungs on that 12-step ladder has a virtue. And then each rung has 3 steps to attaining the virtue, and the 3 steps to attain each virtue are belief, faith, and fruition. Or excuse me, Morris.
Faith, hope, and love.
Yeah, faith, hope, and love. Faith, hope, and love, belief, faith, and fruition. All right. And then understanding that the carrot is getting dangled in front of our face to make us work for this, is that as we attain each virtue, we further unfold Allah within us. We further subdue the lower self. The only thing that's really bringing disharmony in life is the lower self. Okay? The lower self is the mother of vice. The higher self is the mother of the virtues in life. The virtues bring harmony in life. The lower self brings disharmony. There's no enemy out there. These things that we perceive as enemies are only there to test us. They're there to test us so that we can be what? The strength of Allah made manifest. So as long as we're looking out there, looking at the white man, looking at any of these things, the so-called European, looking at any of these things as the enemy, we're not getting it. It's our own lower self. That's why we're not up here teaching the white man is the devil. We don't do that. It's our own lower self. Why would we say that if we're here to be the strength of Allah made manifest? Islam, Brother Kobe, I yield the floor. Islam.
Islamism, Grand Sheik, and I just wanted to add in and camel back on what you're going with and keep it going in that same motion on the fact that when we didn't know any better, and even when we were young and really didn't know any better, you look at what society looked at in you. And that's when, like, as far as more science, we can look at that as like, we give back Christianity to the Europeans because for their earthly salvation, and we take Islam as our earthly and divine salvation. But when we didn't know back then, that's why, we were acting the way we acted. But now we know, now we know. We all in this meeting, we all know it's, it's Friday, it's Holy Day. We know what it means. We go through it. So it's a great thing, Islam. And I'm just camelbacking on that. And it's just, we as a people got to kind of uplift our people in that way, because they don't know. That's the thing. They're still in the dark. Islam with the light bearers.
Islam, brother. Gratitude, as you said in the chat. Be what you know, not what you're told. Islam, Sister Douglas L., I see you. I yield the floor.
Islam, happy holy day, Muslims. First and foremost, I'd like to rise and give perfect praise to our Father God Allah, Father of the universe. I'd like to rise and give honors to his prophet, Noble Drali, and all of Allah's prophets. Also like to rise and give honors to all you Muslims in attendance and everything Moorish on this holy day. I'd like to add a little bit of neurological science to this demonstration. I recently was gifted a book, and I started reading it, and the book is called The Body Keeps the Score. And it's just a breakdown to better understand how trauma that's called like trauma that's caused like in childhood neglect, sexual domestic abuse, war, all these things, how it wreaks havoc on our bodies and our minds. And I always apply the lessons that the prophet brought us to whatever is happening in my day-to-day life. And it came to me clear as day that the prophet saw the traumas and the pain and the suffering that was being inflicted on our people based on slavery, based on being ripped from our nationality, being taken away from our holy and divine creed, our covenant, taken away from our ancestors' way of life. And this is a serious thing because as I read in this book, and as a licensed massage therapist, I deal with the body, not only physically, but neurologically and spiritually as well. Because when I am in a session with a client, I have to understand where this pain and stress and tension is coming from. And it's not always coming from the physical body, the muscles. A lot of times the muscle holds memories, and those memories are passed down sometimes, and this is the trauma that people are dealing with. Sometimes it's their parents or grandparents' trauma that was passed down to them. And that's what we talk about when we say breaking these generational curses and lifting that karma that we have been dealing with from generation to generation. And our Holy Koran of the Moorish Temple of America is one of the best, if not the best, self-help books on this planet, because it is talking to us from a prophet who comes from amongst us, speaking our language, who understands us and our plight and what we have been through and what we are going through, because he wrote this 100 years ago, and we can pick it up today and apply all this information to us today because it was divinely prepared for us today, Islam. And by understanding these blockages, because these blockages are formed from and created from the trauma, from the fear, from the pain, it keeps us enraged. It keeps us feeling hopeless. That's where the anxiety and the depression and the self-hate. And that's why we are waking up in a new era of time where the prophet is teaching us to love instead of hate, because we have to love ourselves in order to heal. And we have to love ourselves in order to teach our children not to live in fear and hate, but to live in love and abundance, because we were raised from lack and worry and survival. And today we don't have to live like that. And so this book is telling how the body keeps the score and how we have to understand where this trauma is coming from so that there is an intervention so that we can pinpoint what it is, which the prophet did exactly. He pinpointed what was being done to our people and he gave a solution, something that cannot fail, right? Something that is everlasting as long as we stand firm in love and in truth, in our truth, Islam. And I wanted to share that because in one of the stories in this book, there was a woman who was kidnapped and raped, and for several days. And one day, her kidnapper just got up and went to the bathroom, and she found the courage within herself to just get up and walk out the door. It wasn't locked, there was no bars on the door. She just had to realize that she could set herself free. And she got up and she left and she was free, but the trauma remained with her from experiencing that horrible situation. And so she had to
she had to go through lots of um, counseling. And one of the counselors, psychiatrists, told her to get massages to kind of help her to relax and to release, this tension and the stress and this pain from her body. And as she went to her first session, she laid on the table. The massage therapist walked around the table and grabbed her feet. The lady was so disconnected from her body due to her trauma and her mindset that she could not feel the therapist holding her feet. She got scared. She started screaming, "Where are you?" Because she could not feel that part of her body being touched, because mentally she disconnected from her body as a survival mechanism from what she'd been through.
Join the meeting.
Islam. And I wanted to share that because the mind is so powerful. The mind is so powerful that we can leave the body mentally. We can go in our day on autopilot and not even be consciously aware of what's going on around us, of something in our hands, of someone touching our feet. We see that with the Buddhist monks during their meditation demonstrations, how they can leave the body, set the body on fire, and not feel pain and not feel anything, because they have mastered the body, because they practice this. But on the other end of the spectrum, the trauma that she was experiencing had her leave the body unwillingly, Islam. And that goes back to our teachings of all is mind, and studying self, and to understand our triggers, and to master our strengths and work on our weaknesses. Islam, I yield the floor.
Islam, sister, gratitude for sharing that. And that is powerful. And it's a representation of what we're going through as a whole. Real briefly though, I wanted to ask who is calling in from a 386 area code. Would you please state your name and location?
Yes, this is Annie. I'm in Texas.
All right, Islam, sister. Islam. Okay, so just to touch on what was spoken about with it's right in alignment with what we're speaking on. Once again, that this movement is largely religious, and the prophet had a huge task, because unlike most of the prophets, where they're coming and they have lessons to help the people get back in touch with their true nature, or to teach people, to show people how to get in tune with the Creator, right? They're bringing laws, divine laws. They're giving people, these lessons, and it's a universal message. So part of what the prophet has is universal, right? And these are the same messages that have been shared with people throughout time. Okay, but then also, right, and this is something that maybe hasn't happened before. The prophet had to basically teach us that we're not a creation. We're not something that was created to be enslaved and taken advantage of, that we are people. So you have to teach us our culture, right? And who we are and everything that comes along with that, right? So this is a great task. And this is right in alignment with what we were talking about on Sunday, right? That black means death. Literally, it means death, right? In the Quran questionnaire 87, what is meant by the word black? Black, according to science, means death. What type of science, right? So there's this esoteric science, and then there's things that are right in our face that we don't even recognize. We spoke about this movie called Two Distant Strangers. You have the black man and the white man. You see how they have like the colors black and white behind them, right? And the movie, whether like I never seen it before, and probably most of you never seen it. It was on Netflix, but it's not really about whether we saw it or not, because this is something that Hollywood celebrated. Why? Because they nominated this for an Oscar award and it won. It was an Oscar-winning film, which means from their perspective, this was one of the best movies made in 2021. And it's a movie where the so-called black man, the Asiatic man, is stuck in a time loop that forces him to relive his shooting by a cop over and over again, right? A short film. Okay, so he just, you know, if you're watching it, you're seeing this. This is the program that we are programmed to be stuck in. The mindset, right? This guy, this innocent, you know, Asiatic man getting killed over and over again, right? 32-minute film. And he's just got to keep reliving this day over and over again where he gets shot and murdered by the cop, right? And so this is the program. This is what Black people are programmed for. What's some other things that Black people are programmed for? I wanted to share something briefly from the Willie Lynch letter, The Making of a Slave. Now, we know this Willie Lynch letter probably never really happened. There probably was never some dude named Willie Lynch who like gave this speech. As it's said, he gave a speech in Virginia in 1712. He was supposed to be a British slave owner in the West Indies. This probably made up, right? But regardless of that, the things that are shared in there have truth in it. And we can see it in our people, right? So when you look at the Willie Lynch letter, it speaks about the conditions basically that we still see to this day, how to control the slaves for at least 100 years. They outlined the number of differences among the slaves, take these differences and make them bigger, use fear and distrust and envy for control purposes, you know, make people different by their shade of skin, light skin, dark skin, intelligence, size, sex, sizes of plantation status, right? To keep that distrust and envy going amongst the people, and it'll keep repeating itself over and over again, right? Just for the making of a slave. Also speaking about breeding, right? You have to, both the horse and the nigger must be broken. Keep the body, take the mind. In other words, break the will. The breaking process is the same for both the horse and the nigger, only slightly varying in degrees. Right? You must keep your eye and thoughts on the female and the offspring, the horse and the N-word, okay? That you break the female mother, she will break the offspring in the early years of development. Don't kill them, put the fear of God in them. Take the female, run a series of tests on her to see if she will submit. Put the woman out front and the man behind is scared. You must destroy the male image, right? She will raise the male and female offspring in reverse roles for fear of the young man's life. She will psychologically train him to be mentally weak and dependent, but physically strong, right? Nobody else has their woman out front like that, right? Continually breaking them, doing this, you'll have uncivilized, savage N-words by throwing the N-word female savage into a frozen psychological state of independence, by killing the protective male image and creating a submissive, dependent mind of the N-word male slave. All right. And it just goes on, but basically just speaking about how to create this. And the prophet gave us a program for undoing this. And that's why, I know I say this a lot, but this is why the Moorish Science Temple of America can't be left out, right? Many people have heard about how they had the Freedmen's Bureau, This is something that was originally started. One of the things that was proposed was to give all the slaves, once they were freed, 40 acres and a mule, right? And then they come into the Freedmen's Bureau, and they're supposed to not just get that, but learn how to be free, right? To come out with everything that they need so that they can go out and you know, and realize their potential, right? Unhindered upon. But that didn't really occur. So this is one of the purposes for the Moorish Science Temple of America, because you can't just take these people and say, just give them some money, right? Because if you do that, they're just going to give their money back to everyone else, anybody, right? Because of all of the things that we've been through over time, right? The attacking of our communities to the point where, you know, our communities have, you know, we have very little ownership in it, and, you know, don't really have a lot of businesses. We don't have hospitals and hotels and things like that owned by our people, but other people are in the community making that money. Okay, so, you know, this can't be left out. And you know, we can't toe the line where we're like, you know, claiming to be Moors, but still we have the habits and thought processes of regular Negroes, right? We've talked about this book. You've probably seen that before, The Negro, a Beast or in the Image of God. But they literally created that whole status to keep us out of the direct line of kinship with God. This was just the image that this person chose to put in their book to make their point, but this is literally what they did. Why? Because we worship the same God. We had the same religion. We carry the same names as the people who enslaved us, who stole from us, right? Which is absolutely insane. So the prophet came to undo all of this, right? We come into the temple, we learn who we truly are. We learn how to subdue our lower self. We take on our own tribal name, our own religion, our own ways, our own thought process. That's what Moorish science is. It's not a religion. It's a philosophy. It's a way of looking at life, our own way of looking at life. It's not dependent on someone else for their validation, right? We have our own experts. We have our own prophet. We have divine instructions. We have a source. Like for us, the prophet is the source because he kept his will in tune with the law. He's delivering divine instructions. That means it comes from the creator. So we don't have to go to anyone else for acceptance. We don't need anyone to co-sign on it. Going back into this measure, all right, chapter 12, this is once again with the prophet. He's got this measure from Jesus, teaching the common people at a spring, tells them how to obtain eternal happiness, speaking to us, right here and now, with tools that we can use right here and now to improve our life, to obtain eternal happiness, to undo the savagery, the program that we were put into. All right, and so right in verse 1, in silent meditation, Jesus sat beside a flowing spring. It was a holy day, and many people of the servant caste were near the place. Okay, so this is the master, Jesus, sitting in silent meditation, something that, for the most part, Negroes don't do. Okay, and Jesus saw the hard drawn lines of toil on every brow, in every hand. There was no look of joy in any face. Not one of all the group could think of anything but toil. And so going back to that, Jesus is sitting in silent meditation. So the prophet is returning this measure to us. I'm going to read something from Catechism on the powers of meditation and prayer. Right, one thing, should Moorish American Muslims meditate? Yes. Why? This is mentioned 3 times in our Moorish Holy Quran. It's in chapter 12. It's twice in chapter 35. So this, you know, for us, meditation is important. It's not something that we leave out. If we look at chapter 35, right, it gives us 3 gifts from Allah, which distinguish man with peculiar favor and exalts his station above all creatures. So the prophet is returning some divine wisdom to us. 3 gifts from Allah. This is something that we should all be paying attention to. 3 gifts from Allah that distinguish man with peculiar favor and exalts his station above all creatures. So when they try to remove us from the direct line of kinship with our Creator, the prophet is returning these gifts to us. And we don't need to beg them to teach us what they're not going to teach us. Right? And this isn't to say that there's no people of European descent who's trying to teach, who's trying to, I'm not saying that. Just saying the program, and not knocking Catholicism or any of that stuff, but that program that was in here, and especially what was given to us. Because remember, for a while, they didn't even want us to read. They didn't even want us to be able to read the Bible. Because they didn't want us to start thinking and seeing how to interpret it from our own way. Okay? So the prophet is giving us, returning those 3 gifts from Allah, which distinguish man with peculiar favor and exalts his station above all creatures. So they can't say we can't be out of the line of direct kinship with the God, with our God, Allah, which means once again, we're returning to the divine covenant. All right. So if we're not in the divine covenant, it's because we don't honor our own forefathers and foremothers. So in chapter 35, it says, he hath endued thee with reason. This is one of the gifts, reason, to maintain thy dominion. He hath fitted thee with language to improve thy society and exalted thy mind with the powers of meditation to contemplate and adore his inimitable perfections. That's in chapter 35, verse 20 of the Moorish Holy Koran. All right. So there's high order thinking. There's, this, and that includes meditation. All right. And so that gives us the ability to not just to think for ourselves, right? Because he hath endued thee with reason to maintain thy dominion. So to endue thee with reason, we have to be able to think for ourselves. We can't think with the mindset that was given to us by colonizers to maintain us as slaves. That's why I was reading those excerpts from Willie Lynch, right? We can't reason if we have that mindset, which our people still have today. There was this guy who was terrorizing Memphis, Tennessee, like 2 days ago. You probably heard about it, right? He was live streaming himself, going around shooting people, killing people, bragging about it, right? And I'm just saying that because we can't have, because dude had just gotten out of prison like a couple months ago, right? And he was in there, I guess, for gun charges. But the reason I'm sharing this is because we can't reason if we have this mentality, especially what's popular amongst our people now, right? Get into BBLs and all of that mess. I don't care. There's people that probably got BBLs and all this other stupid mess. There's probably people that sagging their pants down to their knees that are intelligent, even though you wouldn't think so, because that's stupid. Why would you do that? But there's people that are intelligent. But guess what? It doesn't matter how smart you are if this is how you conduct yourself. Because if you were able to reason for yourself, you wouldn't do that. But you have the mindset of a Negro, a beast. This was given to you. This was created for you. We might think we created rap and hip hop and all this stuff, but it got hijacked a long time ago. And it was used to destroy. Not saying that everybody that raps is making that type of music, but it was weaponized. Okay? So we can't reason if we're reasoning from that mindset. And that's why the prophet created this, to protect us. So that it doesn't matter what time you're born in, 1940, 1950, 2040, doesn't matter. This protects you from that. I don't care what the trend is tomorrow, right? I'm not sagging my pants and wearing real tight pants and sagging them with green and purple dreadlocks and getting a bunch of tattoos on my face, getting a ice cream cone tattoo on the face. Just saying this in case anybody's like, what are you talking about? People are actually doing this. Actually see people in real life doing this. And so this is the program, the Negro program. So the prophet is giving us another way, right? A better way. So he endued thee with reason to maintain thy dominion. You can't maintain your dominion if you're stuck under some program that was created to enslave you. He hath fitted thee with language to improve thy society. So not just the language that we speak, okay, but also our own language, our own lingo, our own way of talking to each other, which we have as Moorish Americans. And we don't need anyone's permission to do it. Okay, and exalted thy mind with the powers of meditation, right? So the ability to connect to your higher self, to connect to the creator. No one can take that away from us. Ultimately, that's the intention of meditation, is to quiet the mind. Why? Because you want to tune in to the source. The spiritual source is within. The higher self is Allah in man. And this is what we want to do in meditation, to contact the higher self. Right? When you pray, you speak to God. In meditation, Allah speaks to us. All right. So of course, more should meditate. And Negroes don't meditate or care. And it might be cool trend for some people, but for us, this is a way of life. All right. So returning to this, right? Jesus sat in silent meditation. He saw the hard drawn lines of toil on every brow, not a look of joy in any face. And Jesus spoke to one and said, why are you all so sad? Have you no happiness in life? The man replied, we scarcely know the meaning of that word. We toil to live and hope for nothing else but toil, and bless the day when we can cease our toil and lay down and rest in Buddha's city of the dead. And while you might think, you're not a slave, you're not working like that, like with a lot of jobs, like, what do you want to do one day? Retire. What's the retirement age? 65. How many people are even going to make it to 65? Okay. Especially if we're eating like slaves. Which is like, if, you look at the food that a lot of us are eating, like junk food and then like, people that's eating stuff like chitlins and stuff like that, that's literally slave food. But the McDonald's and all of these things might not even make it to 65, right? So it's the same thing. We toil, hope that maybe one day we could retire, not knocking retirement or anything like that, just saying that, you got to think about that. You got to think about that, especially if that's one of the goals. All right. Maybe there's some goals you should have that are closer instead of like, pushing it to a date that you might not even reach. And that's why when they said this, the next verse, and Jesus' heart was stirred with pity and with love for these poor toilers. And he said, toil should not make a person sad. Men should be happiest when they toil. When hope and love are back of toil, then all of life is filled with joy and peace. And this is heaven. Do you not know that such a heaven is for you? And the man replied, of heaven we have heard, but then it is so far away. And we must live so many lives before we reach that place. And Jesus said, excuse me, my brother, man, your thoughts are wrong. Your heaven is not far away, and it is not a place of metes and bounds. It is not a country to be reached. It is a state of mind, right? Because many of us still believe that when you die, you go to heaven. Right? I told some of y'all this too. Like one day I was riding around. This brother was in the back seat, and I'm riding with my friend, and he's talking about, I can't wait to go to heaven and die. and I get, my wings and I'm flying around like an angel. And it's like, he's this big dude, like 300 pounds, talking about getting some little angel wings when he dies. And it was hard as hell not to just be laughing in his face, right? Because this is a lie that was taught to us. Not saying when you die, oh, that's just it, the lights go out and there's nothing. No, just saying, this heaven, the 70 virgins or whatever, like this heaven that you get when you die. That's not it, right? So Allah never made a heaven for man. He never made a hell. We are creators and make our own. Why? Because it's not a place of meets and bounds. It's not a country. It's not far away. It is a state of mind. Okay. And so Jesus is letting them be known, like, yeah, while you work, everything that you do, right? This heaven is here. It's in your mind. It's how you approach everything. If you're seeing the stuff that you have to do as terrible, as, as annoying, as something that you hate doing, right? You don't like your wife, she get on your nerves, all that stuff. It's just, it's all state of mind. You're creating hell. It's all in how you approach life on an everyday basis. Now cease to seek for heaven in the sky. Just open up the windows of your heart, and like a flood of light, a heaven will come and bring a boundless joy. Then the toil will be no cruel task. It's always how we approach things, right? We name it, you name it as good or evil. The people were amazed and gathered close to hear this strange young master speak, imploring him to tell them more about the Father God, Allah, and the heaven that man can make on earth, about the boundless joy. And Jesus spake a parable, right? So he's telling a story about how to make heaven right here on earth. A certain man possessed a field. The soil was hard and poor. By constant toil, he scarcely could provide enough food to keep his family from want. One day, a miner who could see beneath the soil, in passing on his way, saw this poor man and his unfruitful field. He called the weary toiler and said, my brother, know you not that just below the surface of your barren field, rich treasures lie concealed? You plow and sow in a scanty way, and day by day you tread upon a mine of gold and precious stones. Scanty meaning barely enough, right? Who wants that? And you're doing this, but right underneath your feet is gold and precious stones. The wealth lies not upon the surface of the ground, but if you will dig away the rocky soil and delve deep into the earth, you will no longer till the soil for naught. The man believes, surely, the miner surely knows, and I will find the hidden treasures in my field. And then he dug away the rocky soil, and deep down in the earth, he found a mine of gold. Okay. And so this is, once again, this is speaking to us all, speaking about our own self-worth, and not just looking at the surface and being stuck there, because that will get you nothing. And Jesus said, the sons of men are toiling hard on desert plains and burning sands and rocky soils, are doing what their fathers did, not dreaming they could do aught else. This is also just goes back into the programming, right? So we're several generations now into this Negro program. We can't just keep doing what our fathers did and not dreaming that we can do anything else. Behold, a master comes and tells them of a hidden wealth, that underneath the rocky soil of carnal things are treasures that no man can count, that in the heart the richest gems abound, that he who wills may open the door and find them all. And then the people said, make known to us the way, that we may find the wealth that lies within the heart. And Jesus opened up the way. The toiler saw another side of life, and toil became a joy. And so to wrap this up, this is a message for all people all over the world, regardless of their ethnic background. All right. But also for us, since the prophet came from amongst us. Okay. And as you know, thinking of Black people who used to be called colored, used to be called Negroes, now called African American, foundational Black Americans, right? FBA. They even got another one where it's BPIOCOP or something. It's like something Black indigenous people of color, BIPOC, right? So they got all these acronyms, and they all, for us, as far as we're concerned, they lead right back to that thing that was up on the screen from their Oscar-winning movie, right? You set up to lose, not just getting shot and killed, but just set up to lose. Everything is all about us losing, and always being victims, and always having to deal with racism, right? And why would we even be victims to that if the creator is within us? So the only way out is to be who we truly are. And that also, for us as Moors, that means going within, because we can't just pretend that we are the creators of civilization. We have to really be that, and we have to go back into that, and within. We have to go back in the mind, which means we have to subdue our own lower self. And in doing that, we will bring out the highest potential within us. All right. And that's why we have these tools in here for the mindset. So just to wrap that up, this is an everyday lesson for us. Everything that we approach, if you see it as your enemy, you see it as something that's hard, that's difficult, that's how it's going to be for us. Okay. And the prophet already let us know that the creator is within us. So we have the tools, we have the keys for everything that we need right here, right now. We just have to believe it. The man believed, the miner surely knows. And then he dug down and found gold, right? And we have that, each and every one of us within us. And on that note, I yield the floor. If anybody has any questions or anything you would like to demonstrate on, please feel free to speak now. Islam.
Islam, this is Ania.
Islam, sister.
Can y'all hear me? Okay. It's just I was wondering, you were speaking on meditation, and it's been on my heart that I need to meditate because my mind, there's just so much, I'm getting so much information, and it's just your mind stays running, and sometimes it interrupts with your focus. And I read, and sometimes I want to focus on what I'm reading, and I just want to focus on a certain area of my life where that develops me. And I know that I need to meditate so that I can be able to do this without trying to multitask. I end up multitasking instead of focusing. So how do you advise somebody get into meditating? Like, do you advise is it as simple as finding a quiet spot and just sitting there quietly? I know I've been listening to a lot of teachings by Freeman L, and he does do some meditating on there. But as far as individually, and this is probably such a basic question, but I just need a starting point.
All right, Islam. Yeah, I can assist. So the easiest thing to do, all right, is to like you said, find a quiet place. Okay. And then like closing your eyes, getting somewhere quiet, and then to just focus on your breaths. And the reason I say that is twofold. Like, first off, when you actually do this, if it might take discipline, but when you do it and stick to it, after a while, your body's not moving. So you're not moving and fidgeting around, and you're not thinking about a whole bunch of stuff. So that's one level it works on. It stops you from thinking about a bunch of other stuff. And then the second thing is that it gets you to slow down your breaths. And as we slow down our breaths, we change our mind state. our mind state goes from theta, which is the mind state that most of us are in, like during the daytime when wide awake. Theta, alpha, beta. It takes you into different mind states, higher mind states that can get you into a mind state where it's even easier for you to connect to your higher self. And so, like, you know, I would advise people to just start off maybe with 5, counting to 5, breathing in 5, breathing out 5. What's that? That's 10 seconds per breath. So that's like 6 breaths per minute. And then going in 10, out 10, right? Because that's 3 breaths per minute, right? That's 20 seconds per breath. Wait, I'm 3, yeah, that's 60. So yeah, that's 3 breaths per minute. And if you can go further from there, even better, right? If you can hold it, you know, breathe in 15, breathe out 15, and then go from there, maybe breathe in 20, out 20. I don't want anybody passing out, but do what works for you. Go at a rate that's best for you. But that's why you would just focus on the breaths, because it takes your mind off of other stuff that's not really important, and it gets you to slow down and actually meditate for real. Also, I made an MP3. I'm gonna put it in the chat right now.
I think I purchased that.
Oh, you got that? Okay. Yeah. Okay. So what you do is, you can play it out loud, but it doesn't work as good as if you put it on headphones.
I can't find it. It only let me play it that one time and then it disappeared. I don't know what happened.
If you send me an email, I can just send it to you.
Okay.
But yeah,
So
you want to put that on headphones. It's only 20 minutes, and that's good. I mean, you can meditate for like 20 minutes, but you want to put it on headphones because it's got binaural beats in it that actually help speed up the process of getting you in a meditative state.
okay, so yeah, it sounds like it's a developed skill. It's a skill that you develop.
Anyone can do it. You don't have to be like a Buddhist monk or something like that. Anyone can do it. And using that universal meditation, it works. It's powerful, but it's really good if you listen with headphones and just, you know, close your eyes, get somewhere comfortable, and just put headphones on. And you can still do, you know, counting your breaths while you do it too. But that's the easiest thing to do. Like, I guess you could say it's a skill, but if you do it, just like anything, you get better at it. So if you just, you know, stick with it, doing like maybe 15 minutes a day, it'll get easier.
Thank you.
Islam. I see Sister Douglas L. Islam, sister.
Islam, I just wanted to add to the answer for the sister. What he said was very good and helpful, and I just want to add to it, because sometimes, I mean, everyone's different, and like you said, you're a multitasker, and a lot of our sisters are, you know, being mothers, wives, you know, owning businesses, working. So we learn to be master multitaskers, and sometimes we don't know how to turn it off. And what helped me with meditation is counting. When I first started, I would count from 100 down to 0. And by the time I got to 0, focusing on my breath, I was a lot more relaxed. And if you find your mind wandering still, you could just focus on gratitude, because we could meditate while driving, we could meditate while washing dishes, we could, you know, like, meditation it doesn't all look the same for everyone. But the specific meditation where you are still and quiet is when you start to receive the messages from the universe and from Allah. That's when you'll get the epiphanies, and that's when you get great ideas. And that's when, you know, you get up and you just see good things happening to you. And that's just all of the communication from the energies that's all around us, that's just waiting for us to tap in. And by kind of slowing ourselves down, we'll be able to tap into those energies a little easier. Islam.
Islam. All right.
Thank you.
Islam. All right. Does anyone else have any questions or any comments, anything you'd like to demonstrate on? Okay, if not, I want to announce without further ado, we're going to go into the closing of the meeting. All right. I ask that everyone who's able to please stand and face the east as we say the closing prayer. All right. And before we close out, just want to tell everybody, make sure to check out the website for our temple. It's moorishamericans.com. I just put the link in the chat, moorishamericans.com. You can go on there and make a free profile. Also, if you go to the menu at the top, you can send a donation to our temple. And also that everybody could also use that button to pay their dues for the temple for all the members. And on that note, though, let's go ahead and go into the closing. All meetings are to be opened and closed promptly according to the Circle 7 in love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. As we stand facing the east with our heels together, feet at a 45-degree angle, and then holding up 2 fingers on the right and 5 on the left. And repeat after me. Oh, you do not need to repeat after me. Sorry. Allah, bind our hearts and minds back to our ancient forefathers' divine creed and principles. We ask this in thy holy name and the 7 Elohim. Amen. Islam, Moors, happy holy day. This meeting is now adjourned.
Happy Holy Day. Peace and love.
Cozy day.